From the moment she was born, Adez was a star in her parents' eyes. They saw a future doctor, a brilliant mind, and they showered her with love and encouragement. But in every family gathering, a shadow loomed in the corner. That shadow was her aunt, Ngozi. While her parents celebrated her every success, Ngozi's eyes held a cold, distant glint. Adezi couldn't put her finger on it, but she felt it in her bones. Her aunt didn't like her. Growing up in the same house, the tension was unavoidable. After Ngozi's own marriage failed, she moved in with them, and her presence became a constant source of passive-aggressive remarks. When a young Adaizi would talk excitedly about becoming a doctor, Ngozi would mutter just loud enough for her to hear, "Doctors are not made in this house. You're just wasting your time." Adezi tried to brush it off as her aunt's strange way of showing concern, but a small part of her felt a chill. She couldn't shake the feeling that something much darker was at play beneath the surface of her aunt's words. As Adez blossomed, so did her ambition. She was a star student, dominating science fairs and earning praise from every teacher. Her parents were over the moon, their pride swelling with each new award she brought home. The path to her dreams seemed clear and bright. When university application season arrived, prestigious acceptance letters started rolling in. Everything was falling perfectly into place. But then, the first crack appeared in her perfect future. She went to the post office, excited to collect her official admission letters, but was met with a devastating shock. Her top choice university, the one with the incredible scholarship that would cover most of her tuition, had mysteriously rejected her application. The reason given was a vague system error that had revoked her scholarship. Confused and heartbroken, she tried to contact the university, but their responses were cold and dismissive. When she told her family, her aunt Ngozi was the first to offer comfort, but her words felt hollow. "Don't worry, Adazi," she said with a placid smile. "These things happen. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be." The comment stung, but what could Adazi say? Ngozi was her elder. Still, a nagging feeling of injustice wouldn't leave her alone. It just didn't make any sense. How could a top student with a flawless record be derailed by a random system error? Adaiz, however, was not one to give up. She enrolled in a smaller university and worked tirelessly, juggling part-time jobs to pay her way through school. But it felt like she was fighting against an invisible force. Every time she was on the verge of a breakthrough, another roadblock would magically appear. A professor who promised to mentor her research suddenly retired. A crucial fellowship application vanished into a bureaucratic black hole. It was as if the universe itself was conspiring against her. And through it all, Aunt Ngozi was there, a constant presence offering her version of helpful advice. "You know," she'd say, patting Adezi's hand, "maybe you should just give up on this doctor thing. Look at your father. He's happy running his business. Why don't you find something easier?" But Adez tuned her out. She pushed forward, graduating with honors, though the journey had been far rougher than she ever imagined. She eventually landed a job, not in the prestigious city hospital she dreamed of, but in a small clinic on the outskirts of town. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. She was a doctor. Just as a sliver of peace began to settle in her life, tragedy struck. Her father, her biggest champion, fell gravely ill. It was a rare disease, the doctors said, and the only hope was an expensive treatment abroad. Adez threw herself into raising the funds. She worked double shifts, sold her belongings, and reached out to everyone she knew for help. But it wasn't enough. Her father passed away, and her world shattered. The grief was a crushing weight, but it was in the aftermath of this heartbreak that the most shocking truth would come to light. While sorting through her father's personal documents, she found a stack of old bank statements. As her eyes scanned the pages, they froze on a series of large, regular withdrawals, huge sums of money she knew nothing about. Shaking, she confronted her mother, who finally broke down and confessed the devastating secret. "It was Ngozi," her mother whispered, tears streaming down her face. "She had access to your father's business accounts. She took the money, Adaiz. She ruined every opportunity you had because she couldn't stand to see you succeed. Your success made her feel like a failure." The truth hit Adaiz like a physical blow. It was Ngozi. It had always been Ngozi. The university rejection, the lost opportunities, the constant setbacks. It was all a calculated campaign of sabotage. The woman who had pretended to care had been the architect of her struggle all along. But the story went deeper. Her mother revealed that Ngozi herself was once a promising medical student. Her life derailed when her fiancé broke off their engagement, sending her into a deep depression from which she never recovered. She blamed the world for her failed dreams, and she channeled all that bitterness toward her bright, ambitious niece. Adiezi's success was a painful mirror to Ngozi's own perceived failures. Confronting her aunt was the hardest thing she'd ever had to do. When Adiz laid out the truth, Ngozi's face went pale, but her expression quickly hardened into one of pure venom. "You have no idea what it's like to be me," she spat. "You think the world owes you everything just because you're young and smart. You'll never understand my pain." In that moment, Adizi saw her not as a family member, but as a stranger consumed by a jealousy so profound it had turned her heart to stone. Adiz realized then that holding on to anger would only let Ngozi win. The only way forward was to let go. In the years that followed, she rebuilt her life, brick by painful brick. She poured her energy into her work, and with time, she became the brilliant, successful doctor she was always meant to be. She opened her own clinic, a place where she treated every patient with the kindness her father had taught her. As for Ngozi, she faded into the background, a lonely figure trapped in her own bitterness. Adiz had not only survived, she had thrived. She broke the curse of jealousy and emerged stronger, finally succeeding entirely on her own terms. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more incredible true stories. We'll see you in the next one.